All right, welcome back to the Roast Yourself podcast brought to you by Coffee Bean Corral and Current Crop Roasting Shop. My name is Stephen Burnett with Coffee Bean Corral in Jackson, Mississippi, and with me, as always, on the line is Catherine Mansell, certified Q grader and director of Current Crop Roasting Shop in New Orleans, Louisiana. Catherine, how are you today?
I'm doing well. We've had nice weather down here, lots of folks in the shop, lots of wholesale orders coming through. And we're working on a new membership and loyalty cards. So April 1st is going to be, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Be a lot of fun, not just for April Fool's Day, but also for all the fun stuff we have going on. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I am coming at you on location in Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm over here on Kavanaugh Street. There's the bus that runs down Kavanaugh Street loudly, apparently. And what's cool about this, my wife and I are here on a little mini vacay, and there are 3 coffee shops on like 2 blocks right across from our Airbnb.
Yeah.
So I travel with a coffee setup sometimes with like a an AeroPress and like a hand grinder.
Yeah.
But if I'm around good coffee, I want to drink it. I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we had that going on, and it's very exciting. This is good stuff. You get real people running around here and doing their thing, which is outstanding.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what I'm up to, and enjoying some delicious coffee, enjoying the beautiful weather, and sitting outside. But we don't just do that, sit around here at the Roast Yourself podcast. In fact, each week we come at you for about 10 to 15 minutes going over a question submitted to us by a listener, usually a coffee roaster, professional, or home roaster, which is kind of our bread and butter, is a home roast inside. But anyway, we've got a question just like that today. By the way, if you want to send your question in, you can do that by reaching out to us at questions@riypod.com. That's questions@riypod.com. You'll get a nice shout out from us here on the show, and of course, you'll get your question answered. This week is a question from a guy named Ethan, a listener, and he's been actually down to Current Crop, he says in the email. Now, he asked us 2 questions. We're going to answer the second question this time and save that first question for another time. It's a bit technical, and we want to get right to the good stuff today. So he said, hi, Catherine and Stephen. I've been ordering from Rancher for a few years, but finally got a chance to come visit Current Crop. And Catherine asked me to send my question in, so here they are. Feel free to answer them in 1 episode or 2, or not at all. The first is more brewing, but also pertains to roasting. The second is all roasting. Well, today, Ethan, we're going all roasting.
Yeah.
All roasting. Okay. So his question is, how do you scale a roast going from a test roast to a larger volume of coffee? I often do a few smaller batches to test new coffees before doing a full batch. Great question. We always talk when we talk about the Kaleido roaster and the Bullet roaster, both of those, even after you outgrow them, if your business just takes off and you need like a 15-kilo roaster or 40-kilo roaster or whatever, like you can still use those as samplers. But the question he's asking is, how do you do that? So, Catherine, what do you have to say about this? How do you scale from a small roast to a larger batch roaster?
Well, normally, especially when I'm using the Bullet, I start off, the smallest amount that I'll normally do is a pound. So that's small for me, but I'll start there and get everything worked out. And then as I scale up, really what I'm doing is increasing that charge temperature. And the Bullet has a list of drop down temperatures that you can go through and check. So if I'm going from 1 pound to 1.5 pound, I may just go up 1 notch, temperature wise on the Bullet. And then depending on how much capacity I'm increasing, that temperature is going up. The charge temperature is going up every time. And I have my playback or my overlay so I can see the previous profile and watching my ROR curve steadily decreasing. And I'm still checking it and working with it every time so I can keep it the same, because the goal is that what it tastes like when I have that 1 pound is what it tastes like when I have it at full capacity at 2.2 pounds. So the goal is keeping the profile the same to where the coffee is tasting the same each time. So most of the time it's really just adjusting that charge temperature to make sure that the amount of beans that are in there are going to do the same go through the same process each time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key thing, because the whole point of this, I think what we're really saying here is that coffee roasting is trial and error, and
Yeah.
perfecting a roast is trial and error.
Yeah.
And if you can try and do your trial and error with, 300 grams or 150 or 200 grams
Yeah.
instead of, I don't know, 10 kilos,
Yeah.
that's a good way to do trial and errors with a smaller batch. So the way I think about it, you're thinking about it in terms of your charge temp and the heat that you apply. I think about it in terms of time. Like, I'm figuring out, I think we're probably saying the same thing, but coming at different directions. I'm figuring out, okay, this coffee really shines when, say, I get it to, a minute and 32 seconds, right, after first crack begins.
Yeah.
Or this coffee really shines. I found that, if I can stretch that, after the browning phase and before first crack, if I can stretch that out a little bit longer, then, maybe to 3 minutes or something like that, just shooting from the hip here.
Yeah.
You figure that out, and then it's like, what do I have to do on the big roaster to hit those same those same highlights, those same moments in the roast, signposts, if you will, in the roast at those same times.
Yeah.
Which often means, we're going to drive that temperature up because there's more coffee to absorb the heat that we're applying.
Right.
And so we have to increase the heat in order to still hit those time things. So that's kind of how I think about a mapping time onto the new roast. And unfortunately, that means there's still going to be some trial and error with the big roaster.
Yeah.
It's still going to be a thing. You can't get around it.
Right.
But the whole idea of using a sample roaster for really nailing that roast profile, the whole point of that is to save yourself a few steps
Right.
in that process with the larger coffee.
Well, and also what I've been doing, as I'm going through and I'm working on each individual coffee, how I sort of start off is, say I'm working on Central American coffees. I'll work and get a profile that I know is going to work, and then I'll tweak that depending on how the coffee is reacting. But my goal of going through and building profiles with the coffees that we have in the shop is basing it by region and process, and then sort of tweaking it as I go. So I have one that I use specifically for African coffees that are natural processes. And then I'll have some specifically for darker roast coffees, wet hold process. So I have things and I'm working on creating those in a smaller amount so I can go back and tweak it when I go for larger amounts. So I'm trying to work through, I have a benefit of only having, 75 coffees here at Current Crop.
You're basically coffee poor. I don't know how you get by with so little.
Right. So I have a chance to really go through and work on each region and then get even more specific as I go. But I start off, normally right around a pound and then go up temperature wise. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I think that also illustrates the point of it's not just for nailing a roast that you want to use these small batches and these sample roasters. It's also to see if the coffee is even good, what it brings to the table at all.
Yeah.
You can rule out, and we do this all the time. They don't send us in the mail, a 2-pound batch sample. They send us a little bitty thing to see if we like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a little too small. You're like,
right.
Man, I wish you'd send me just a few more beans, man.
Yeah.
Just part with a few more of them.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're going to try these new coffees, and see if there's even anything there that you like or anything there that lights you up. And oftentimes, even if you're not going to nail it the first time. You're not going to nail that coffee the first time.
Yeah.
But you'll recognize, oh wait, there's something here that I could unlock.
Right.
Right. And so having the sample roaster just for that kind of triage of, is there anything of value?
Yeah.
Is there anything of value in this coffee that fits with what I'm looking for, even remotely?
Yeah.
Then we can figure out how to nail it, how to make it, how to really pull it out. But either way, that's what you're doing. This tool of the sample roaster and thinking in terms of sample roasting is just to save you money and save you, well, not so much save you time, but definitely save you money and save you beans, right?
Right.
That's the whole point of it. So scale up. Think about the more coffee in the roaster, the more heat you're going to need to get it to the same point at the same time.
Yeah.
If you can map those curves as close as possible, you're gonna be in the ballpark, and then be
Right.
able to finish tweaking it out on the big roaster, and no one's going to be upset about that.
Right.
So Ethan, man, thank you from Cajun Coast Coffee.
Yes.
Fantastic name. I'm a Louisiana boy, so I appreciate a good Cajun shout out in the name.
Nice.
So Ethan from Cajun Coast Coffee, thank you for your question. We'll get to that other question, number one, at another time. We'll get that answered for you as well. But we wanted to do the roasting question first, because that's kind of our bread and butter.
Right. I
Catherine,
have one
go ahead.
thing. He's logged over 1,000 roasts on a bullet. He's had it for quite a few years. And I asked him when he was in the store how many roasts he'd gone, because I've been sort of excited that I hit 250. And I've done 250 roasts. He goes, "Oh, I'm well over 1,000." I thought, wow, wow.
I'm over here like, wait, you guys are counting? I didn't know we were supposed to count. Oh man.
Right.
Oh,
Kudos to you.
I'm gonna start now with one.
Yeah.
I'll be like, yes, because I don't want to lie. I don't want to inflate my stats, artificially here. I want to be legit about it.
Right.
No, that is outstanding. 1,000 roasts.
Right.
And by the way, can I just say, you're 1,000 roasts in. You know what you're doing at that point. You're still looking for answers and asking good questions and seeing how other people do things. And I think, frankly, that's the key to this.
Yeah.
So
That's why we're doing this. I love it.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that is fantastic. Ethan, thank you for the pair of questions. We'll get around to that second one in the future. Catherine, is it possible we left something out of this in the midst of all these people walking behind me and all the things we've said? Did we leave something out of this?
Maybe so. Probably so.
Maybe. Okay. Maybe there's more to say about sample roasting and how to do it well and how to save yourself time, money, and beans. And if you know what those things are, how to save yourself time, money, and beans, then hop in the comments and tell us. Share it and fill it out. Let us make this a complete team effort episode where the answer is 100% given, because we did our part, you did your part. So hop in the comments and do that. Absolutely. We are excited to watch the Roast It Yourself podcast continue to grow, take over the world, and spread the joy of coffee roasting with more people. If you look in the comments on like our other videos, especially our roast along videos, like people are getting into roasting just because of content we put out there, and it's like totally free to watch it. It's crazy. It's free to put it up there. It's free to watch it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. This is a great time we live in human history, and it's great because anybody can get into coffee roasting if they really want to. That's what makes it great. So we're happy to watch that happen. So share this stuff with your friends, get them into it as well. And we'd like to say thank you, a big thank you to our fellow workers here at Current Crop and Coffee Bean Corral, the Rancher program, who help us, let us do this, and also who edit the audio and video, make it sound and look good. You guys are amazing. We couldn't do this without you. Otherwise, you guys, this has been awesome. We have a ton of fun doing these things. I hope y'all enjoy it as much as we do.
Yes.
But other than that, send your questions to questions@riypod.com, and have a great day. Happy roasting.
Happy roasting.